Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new live webcast, Safer to Market, Licensing and E-Commerce Integrated. Join us each month for new powerful messages, technical tips, and success stories that will leave you inspired and ready to get your protection, licensing, and security techniques another step closer to perfection. At WIBU-SYSTEMS, we empower software publishers and intelligent device manufacturers with cutting-edge technologies, new business models, and tailor-made consultant training. Let us help you upgrade, optimize, and automate your entire license lifecycle management so you can focus on monetizing your business at a higher level. My name is Daniela Previtali, Global Marketing Director of WIBU-SYSTEMS, and I'm delighted to have you here with us today. We are joined by Rüdiger Kügler, VP Sales and Security Expert at WIBU-SYSTEMS, and Alexander Diep, Director Technical Sales at Cleverbridge. Companies that used to sell hardware only are now letting software and firmware determine the feature sets of their products. To monetize these investments, vendors need ways to market, manage, and enforce licenses, and not just for the initial purchase, but also for subsequent aftermarket feature activation or subscription renewals. E-commerce providers like Cleverbridge cover the commercial part of the requirements, while CodeMeter License Central is there for entitlement management and enforcement. Some housekeeping we need to take care of before we start. For everyone who's joining us today, I want to remind you that we will be reserving some time at the end of the session for Q&A, and I'd like to invite you to submit any question you have in the live chat box. This session has been recorded, and a link to the replay will be posted directly to you in the next couple of days. And don't forget, stay with us throughout the live session for your chance to win 4 hours of free CodeMeter consultations from the most brilliant minds at our company. At the end of the webinar, a new tab in your browser with 3 simple quiz questions will show up. You should submit one or multiple choices for each question. We will draw the winner from one of those who reply correctly and notify them at the time of the replay announcement. Please also note that the winner is excluded from all subsequent prize draws of 2021. Without further ado, I'll pass things over to Rüdiger. The floor is yours.
Yes, hello also from my side. My name is Rüdiger Kügler, and I'm very excited to have this session here together with Alexander Diep from Cleverbridge in Germany. And in the next 50 minutes, we will show you how to connect the solution of Cleverbridge and WIBU-SYSTEMS to help you to monetize your software, to create more turnover, and to keep processes very simple. In the next minutes, Alexander will give you a short introduction about Cleverbridge, who they are, and what they can offer for you. After this, I will tell you more about WIBU-SYSTEMS. Maybe most of you already know who we are. That's why I want to keep this introduction of WIBU-SYSTEMS very short. Then I will have a few words about license models, which license models are supported here for WIBU-SYSTEMS and on the Cleverbridge side. And just to give the answer now, all license models are supported by WIBU-SYSTEMS and Cleverbridge, but let's go into more details later. Then we will show you how to use CodeMeter License Central to create items and to define the products. What are the linking elements to the Cleverbridge e-commerce solution? How does the process and the workflows look like? Then Alexander will show you about the Cleverbridge e-commerce platform, about how the process looks from the Cleverbridge side of you. And of course, you will see a live demo how you can configure products in the Cleverbridge platform. You will see how the user behavior, how to buy a license. And then, of course, on the other side, I will show you how the user can activate a license and what we see afterwards in CodeMeter License Central. And last but not least, we have a few words on the Cleverbridge connector, the piece of software, the small piece of software which is available out of the box, which makes the connection between Cleverbridge and between CodeMeter License Central. And last but not least, we have a small summary about what we have seen in this session. Okay, so I like to start with the first topic, and so Alexander will tell you more about Cleverbridge.
Yes, thank you, Rüdiger. Again, welcome everybody. I am Alexander Diep. I am work in technical sales for Europe and Asia for Cleverbridge. So that means that I'm supporting the sales team with every technical questions which the potential client would have with respect of onboarding and operating their e-commerce business through our platform. I don't have a background in e-commerce, but I do have a background in software and software sales and software consultancy and operating this. So a little bit about Cleverbridge as such. The company was founded in 2005 out of Cologne and Chicago. So it is from the beginning a truly German US based company, and we consider ourselves as a strategic partner for our clients and partners for e-commerce business, and that really means and we consider that as a partnership. So we don't provide just a number of functions or some technology or features to operate for e-commerce business, but we are actually mean to take care of every questions and every requirement you have with respect to e-commerce business. What we also do is we do exclusively serve for software companies and companies which ship digital goods. We don't do any physical goods. So that is our niche. That's our specialty, and that also means that we are a boutique. We are around 350 employees at the minute, growing slightly, and we have around 300 clients which we serve. So we actually intend to have a very intense care to our clients with respect to their business. Subscription, we come into that throughout the webinar, is something which we fully serve and support, and this is a growing business, and currently already for more than 50% of our revenue is coming from renewals / subscription business. So perpetual is really going back. We do that, but we also do subscription, and coming to that in a second. We also are meant to be a partner for digital marketing services, which is something different. When I mean it may be part of your e-commerce strategy, but it is something special. It can be SEO. It can be placing the product and the checkout page for on affiliate sites on other portals which are business specific. It can mean an advanced email marketing, or just an advanced feature for enhancing or reducing the churn rate and enhancing the conversion with respect to the visitors on your and our site. Rüdiger, can you flip the slide? So I would just quickly highlight the main pillars, perhaps, of the entire operation. Of course, in the center, you see that box in the middle is a storefront which we want to run for you, and that storefront includes whatever is required and whatever is maximizing the experience for the buying customer, which can be just a checkout page or a review page, depending on the legal requirements also, and of course a payment functionality whatsoever. We do offer more than 50, I think almost 60 payment methods globally, and that should cover really almost everything which is possible, even with some local specialties like in Japan or in Netherlands or in Brazil with a particular method, and we usually do cover that, as well as we provide a localized experience for special countries where perhaps forms look different, or even some colors are to be avoided or to be used in a special way. With respect to the global appearance and the global business management, there are, of course, legal and tax and compliance requirements which are to be met, which are just different in different countries. Especially tax can be very, very complicated. In the USA alone, every state may have a special tax regime which is to be followed when you want to sell online into these markets. Also, when you do run business with certain payment providers, they expect a certain risk and fraud management from the seller, which is then us on behalf of you. As I said, there is a separate subscription management system, because, of course, a subscription is a purchase process, but then there is a recurring a process which is to be executed, which has its own rules and has its own ways how to optimally run that, and we do run that for you, including an email campaign which can remind a certain customer to renew, or even if a renewal has been cancelled, and that at least a feedback email would ask for the reasons, and we collect this. As I said, we have a separate unit which is called Digital Marketing Services, which does try to enhance and optimize the visitors and the purchases out there in the internet. And that is for our benefit, because when you are successful, then we are successful too. And last but not least, we do have quite an advanced reporting and analytics functionality. Now, there is certainly, and I'm coming to that in a minute. There is we do collect all the data which just occur while we're doing e-commerce business for you, but we do have some advanced functionalities there as well, which is not part of that talk today. And with that, I would just hand back to you for a moment, Rüdiger, for your introduction.
Yes, so thank you for the brilliant introduction of Cleverbridge, and I like to do the same with WIBU-SYSTEMS. And so WIBU-SYSTEMS was founded in 1989. It was founded by Oliver Winzenried and Marcellus Buchheit, and that's where the name comes from. So WIBU, Winzenried, and Buchheit. And currently we have more than 130 employees worldwide in all our offices. Our headquarters are in Germany, in Karlsruhe. And we have subsidiaries all over the world, so in Europe, in Belgium, in France, in UK, Sweden, in the USA, of course, also in Asia, in Japan and in China. And so you see we have a lot of different offices and are available all around the world. Our focus is on protection, licensing, and security. And so the main focus is, of course, on software protection, software licensing. So typically software developers, software vendors come to us and say, we want to protect our software against piracy, against illegal usage, and we want to license our software. We want to have new license models, maybe subscription, maybe pay-per-use, pay per click, something like this. Perpetual licenses, of course, are still a big business. Floating network licenses, feature-based licenses, features on demand. And so the different license models, we want to create more turnover by using new license models for new customers. And last but not least, the security is more the security from the end user. So in this case, we are implementing security function, protection functions in our technology to so that the end user can use them. So for instance, if we speak of industrial software, then of course some features like authentication for the end user at an embedded device is some important thing, so that only the right user can use the right device. Besides software, we also do protection licensing for digital documents like PDFs, like videos, like audio files. And so maybe blueprints of some machines are protected using WIBU, and the field engineer has his license with him, and he can use the documents if he's in the field. But if the documents are stolen, nobody else can open and use these documents. We are one of the 3 biggest vendors for software licensing in the world. We are number 3. We have a market share of about 15%, so we are big enough to be a global vendor, and we are small enough to be flexible and agile, so that your wishes can be implemented in a very easy and fast way. And last but not least, our 2 big words are continuity and compatibility. And so if you are a customer from WIBU-SYSTEMS, maybe from 1992, and you purchased the WIBU box at this time, and you still want to use this WIBU box, then so our dongle, then you can still buy a compatible WIBU box for the parallel port, for the LPT port, if you want to. Or if you update a driver, you can use with your protected software protected in 1992. You can use the current USB WIBU key with this, because the driver does all the rest for you. And so compatibility and continuity are 2 very important words in our offering. Let's have a small overall picture of protection and licensing. In the middle of our system, we have CodeMeter. And CodeMeter is there to control the different license models, to create the different license models. And it supports, as mentioned, multiple license models, I would say all license models. And from CodeMeter, there are 3 different variants, which is the CodeMeter runtime. This is like a middleware between your software and the licensing container. So we're offering dongles for a very secure way of mobile flexible licensing. We have the CMAC license, which is a license file bound to the properties of a computer. So for very easy delivery, so the user simply gets an activation code, enters this, and the software is bound, or the license is bound to the local machine. And we have cloud-based licensing, where there's a user account in the WIBU cloud, and the user logs into the cloud, and then he can use his licenses everywhere all over the world. And so the CodeMeter runtime acts as this middleware. And additionally to CodeMeter runtime, or alternatively, we have CodeMeter embedded, made for embedded devices like PLCs. And we have CodeMeter micro-embedded, mainly designed for microcontrollers. And when we speak of CodeMeter, we speak of 2 different types of integration. The first type is the integration into your software. So you want to protect your software in a way that it's for an attacker, for a cracker, for a hacker, very hard to remove the copy protection. And therefore, we are using encryption. And one option is to use CodeMeter protection suite. So you take your executable, you encrypt your executable, and then it's protected automatically. And or you can use API calls. So you can do just simple checks. Is the license there? Yes, no. How long does the license run? Does it expire? You can show the expiration date. You can show the amount of clicks which are still available in the license, of a pay-per-click license, for instance. And of course, you can also use the API calls to do your own encryption, decryption. So you can use both this automatic encryption or API calls to protect and license your software. On the second hand, and this is the topic of today, we speak about the back office integration. So how to create a license and how to bring the license from you to your customer. And in this case, we have some back office integration tools. We call this CodeMeter License Central. And we can connect the back office integration tool with ERP solutions, with CRM solutions, MES solutions, and of course with e-commerce solutions. And today we will focus on the connection between the Cleverbridge e-commerce platform and our CodeMeter License Central. And of course, the second part here in the back office integration is how does the license get activated? And here we have our software activation wizard, which you can integrate in your software. And later on, we will see a demo, for the license creation, and also for the license activation in your software. Let's have an overview of the process. On the left-hand side here, we have the e-commerce solution of Cleverbridge. Of course, we can all have also a CRM solution or ERP solution. We have our protected software, so let's assume we already implemented the checks automatically in our software. And we have Codemeter License Central, the middleware for the delivery of the licenses. So what happens now when your user purchases a license? The e-commerce system speaks with License Central and says, please create a license. License Central creates, we call this a ticket. Alexander calls this a product key. So there are multiple names for this code. In our case, it's a 25 digits code, like A, B, C, D, E, minus, and so on. And this code is now sent from the e-commerce system to the user. And so the next step, the activation code, the ticket, and the software needs to be delivered to the user. And there are multiple ways how to do this. You can put your software on a DVD, CD, Blu-ray, depending on the size of your software. You can offer this as a download link. You can have this integrated in your portal. The ticket number, so the activation code, can be sent via email from the Cleverbridge e-commerce system. It is also displayed on the order confirmation page in the e-commerce system. And so there are multiple ways for the ticket and for the software to get to the customer. And now the customer can choose where he wants to activate the license. And we're offering a software-based license where we bind the license to a computer. We're offering a dongle-based license where the license is transferred into a dongle and is mobile then. We offer a cloud-based solution, Codemeter Cloud Container, where the license is in a cloud container which is bound to a user credential, so to user login data. And we have Codemeter Cloud Lite, especially made for software as a service applications. And in License Central, you define before the license is created which of the options are available for the user. So if you say, oh, maybe for the Asian market, we only allow the dongle. For the European market, we allow dongle and soft licenses. And for the American market, we allow soft licenses and cloud-based licenses. And so you can define the different license options, license models. And so the user can now choose among the options that you have offered to him. The user starts the software activation wizard or goes to the license portal. And then he enters the ticket, and now the software or the license gets activated on his computer. So the license is transferred from License Central to his local device. And now the protected software accesses this local device and works with the software. Software starts, everything is fine, the software works. And this is the overall process overview of how to get a license to your customer, from the Cleverbridge e-commerce solution to the local computer of the user. I promised you at the beginning that I will tell you also something about license models which can be realized with this. And here I have the list of all the license models that you can implement using Codemeter. And all of these license models can also be used in combination with the Cleverbridge solution and with Codemeter. And I just picked 4 of the licenses with as special things. The perpetual license, which is let's say the classic license model. So the user buys a license, he gets the license, he activates the license, that's it. So for the Cleverbridge and WIBU-SYSTEMS systems, it's quite easy. The user purchases the software in the e-commerce solution. The e-commerce solution tells License Central, please create a license. We create a license, that's it. For demo and trial licenses, it could be similar. So there's a way to do this via the Cleverbridge e-commerce solution. There's also a way to do this without. It depends on where you want to collect the user data so that you can follow up with your marketing stuff. And so both options are available and both are valid options. Network license, concurrent licenses, also licenses which can be created via this way. It's very similar to the perpetual license. The difference is there's a license option. We call this a product item option, which says this is a floating network license for 5 users, 10 users, 20 users. And so this can also be used using the Cleverbridge and CodeMeter License Central combination. And last but not least, Alexander already mentioned this in his introduction, that subscription is getting more and more important. I see it mainly in the B2C business. Here it's the let's say the most sold type of licenses. For the B2B business, it is coming, it is growing, but in the B2B market, still perpetual and network and other licenses are the mainly used licenses. But I also think that the subscription license will be the preferred license type in the future. And for the subscription license, there is let's say an additional challenge for Cleverbridge and for CodeMeter, because the subscription license needs to be renewed and or to be cancelled. And in this case, we decided that every time the first initial purchase is the same like the perpetual license, and then every time when the renewal takes place, the Cleverbridge system is sending us a message or notification that the renewal was successfully handled, so at least the commercial part. And then we in License Central renew automatically the license, and your software can check if the renewal was done, and then your software automatically downloads the renewed license in the background. And so the user doesn't see anything. It's completely automated for him. So the user creates a subscription, and then it runs until he stops the subscription. The only thing, he needs to be online once per month, once per year, once per day, depending on the amount of time which you have between the the interval of the subscription. Let's now come to the more practical part, to License Central, and then later on to the e-commerce platform of Cleverbridge. And let's simply see the process from the WIBU side once again. And so the process starts with the e-commerce system creating a purchase order in the License Central. License Central delivers the ticket back to the e-commerce system. The e-commerce system is sending the ticket to the user, could be an email, for instance. And then the user has let's say the standard activation which CodeMeter License Central offers. So the ticket and the fingerprint of the computer, of the cloud container, of the dongle is sent to License Central. License Central creates and delivers the license. And then the user could send a receipt so that License Central knows that the license was successfully activated, but the receipt is optional. That's why I use a different color here in this page. But now I promised you, let's go to a more practical part. And for this, I will open up my License Central. By the way, this is the same License Central that Alexander will also use in his demonstration. So we see later on that something happened here. And so first I will log into our License Central. And we prepared some items for this. And here in this case, I prepared a perpetual item, subscription item. Of course, I could have prepared a trial item too, the floating network item, and all the other license models too. And let's take a look into the first one. And so we defined an item ID. This is very important. We will see that this is the link to the Cleverbridge system. I defined the name, sample notepad. We defined that this is a license which can be applied only to a soft license, to a CMAC license. We defined the technical property of CodeMeter, the product code 201.000. And we decided we have a text, the text sample notepad. Due to the fact that the perpetual license is the simplest license, there are no additional options needed. And for the subscription license, we created a special item with the item ID 1001. Also a CMAC license. And here we defined an expiration time. So the subscription license is something which will expire. And in this case, we defined that this is on order. This means that the Cleverbridge e-commerce platform will send us some information, and we will process the information during the order when the order is created. And the name is the subscription end date. And so this is important that you have an expiration time for subscription licenses with the feature on order and with the name subscription on end date. And the important thing is there is something, a small piece of software in between Cleverbridge and CodeMeter. We call this the Cleverbridge connector. And the CleverBridge connector gets the data from the CleverBridge e-commerce platform. In this case, it is the next billing date. And then the CleverBridge connector adds a grace period to the next billing date and uses this as the subscription end date in our license central. So that means when the subscription is created initially, we get the next billing date, we put a grace period on this, and then so the software now works until the next billing date plus a few days, hours longer. When the billing is performed, then a new subscription or a renewal is created in the background, and then the software automatically picks this renewal. So it needs to do this within the grace period to make sure that the software runs continuously. So, and this is the configuration of the items in License Central. And with this, I like to hand over to Alexander, first to show you here in the presentation how the workflow is from the CleverBridge look and feel, and later on we will switch to his computer and see how it works in the real world.
Yes, thank you, Rüdiger. I basically will do the same workflow, just from a different angle, from a different perspective. Perhaps we are seeing here the four parties with respect to the purchase and to the renewal process, and it will start with the customer who wants to buy from a software vendor a certain product, be it for a perpetual or for a subscription license. We come to that at a later point, and he might come from the software vendor website and clicks a buy now button, or he comes from an affiliate, from a Google search, or from wherever, but he would land on a CleverBridge checkout page or a shopping cart and then a checkout page. And that is actually being hosted by the CleverBridge platform itself. And there he could now execute and conduct a purchase. If you click, Rüdiger, then we're going to see when the purchase is happening. Then one thing which for sure is happening is it can send a notification that an activity has undergone, whether it be successful or not, and that notification could feed the software vendors a database, a CRM system, an ERP system, just a tracking system on e-commerce, so that is possible. We will provide this information. When the purchase, if the purchase is being done successfully, and that means that the payment has been approved by the payment gateway and the payment provider, then we can send a notification, a notice that for this particular product, this customer needs to have an entitlement to the WIBU system, and the WIBU system will create that entitlement. If you click on next, then we're going to see that this on the WIBU platform, this entitlement is then being created automatically in the background and is being sent back to the CleverBridge platform, which is then capable of delivering this directly to the customer, and that is a fully automated process, as we're showing in the demo in a second. Now, with this delivery, the customer can enable, can activate the software and can use it for the subscription period. Now, as we are speaking about the subscription, there is a duration, and after that duration is the entitlement, the activation is expiring, and close to this expiration date, the CleverBridge platform starts a new process in order to try to renew this. That can be a manual renewal where the customer is being reminded by an email that the renewal is closed. It can be an automatic renewal where the customer is reminded there will be a renewal, but the renew, if he does not stop it, cancel it, then it's automatically being executed. And again, by a successful payment, the Cleverbridge platform will notify the WIBU platform that this renewal is now to be updated, and the rest is being done between the communication between the software and the WIBU platform directly, that this that the new duration is enabled, can be accessed, and the activation is just going on, and all that from away from that very beginning of an active purchase from the customer. All that is being automated. There is no human required to push any button or to check anything. That has some certain beauty, and that we're trying to demo right now. Should try to show how this is being executed. Let me get myself sorted here. What we are seeing is the Cleverbridge user interface for the client to set up, to do all the settings and configurations. There are some things which we have to do in the background, which the client cannot do, but most of the configurations he can do for himself. But that always goes in accordance with the client success manager, which works side by side, hand in hand, together with the client. As I said, we're in the beginning, we are not meant as a self-service, but store, but we are meant as a partner, and everything is being done in accordance with our support. Now, what we would do is, I have created a couple of products here, because that is my own sandbox, and one of these products is the sample notepad. And if I'm going into the configurations of the sample notepad, the first thing, it needs to have a name. That's one minimum. And I'm not going through all the configurations which you can do here, which are quite comprehensive, but I'm just showing you one thing, which is an optional internal attribute, and I'm setting this internal attribute because that is where the mapping takes place between the product on the Cleverbridge platform side and the product on the WIBU-Systems side, as Rüdiger's shown you 5 minutes ago. So this 1001 is actually the same as the 1001 item, which we saw on the WIBU system, and that's where the WIBU system knows which product is to be activated. What we also need to have is a price down here. We need to have a base price. That's a minimum requirement for creating a product, and that is already set as a subscription. So we have several intervals. They may have all the same price, but they may have also different prices. And here we see that we have a very cheap initial price, but then a standard of the first, and all the subsequent intervals are different to those. What we also have is an item, because it is a subscription product, we can set, and we have to set, some certain configurations with respect to the subscription options, and one of that would be the activation intervals at which the software is to be renewed. Here we put it on initial at day 1 day and 5 days. That's probably not very sensible. We did that for demo purposes, as we will see in a minute. And finally, what I wanted to show you is the delivery details here, because here we would set that we delivering a key, but that key is being generated in another platform. So we are actually activating something what we call a web key generator, and then with that web key generator, we are firing an API, and that API is an extra item which we are defining in here. And it's as simple as we're giving it a name. It can be any name. We're giving it an endpoint, and that is the one endpoint from the WIBU platform. And in that WIBU platform, we having a username and a password. And once that is being done, the entire setup for that automated workflow, which I was showing you 5 minutes ago, is actually being done. Now, what would that look like if I'm looking at that product here? I just will try to open a checkout process. And that is a pretty standard. That's the default checkout process. No client is using this layout. Everybody's obviously using an individual layout, which is just looking like their identity. And I've just wanted to show you from one of our clients, which I think is a very good design, from Tenable, which they do network security software, where you have a nice clean checkout page where you see a flow here, a review page, and then a confirmation page. And you see on top here the possible available currencies, and though they pretty much run the entire catalog of our currencies, and also pretty much most of the languages. And I could flip the language even if I am in England or in the US, but I'd like to have it in Danish. Then I could select to show this this page here in Danish, and that would be done together with our web designers and front-end team and your expectations. But for the moment, we don't have that. We have that default page, but that default page is actually working, and I will try to make a test purchase here in order to see how that works. And I'm putting in here Rüdiger's details and email address, so he will receive the email as if he would have purchased this product. I'm using here a test credit card, which will hopefully allow that we can purchase this. And if I'm going to next, then I'm getting, as by law in the European Union, to a review page. I'm accepting that this is being a subscription purchase, so there will be a renewal. And when I click on buy now, then in the background, the Cleverbridge platform hopefully processing this order, so that it checks the payment validity. It withdraws the payment, and at the same time, it notifies the WIBU system there is a successful purchase. I need a product key in order to deliver that. And already on the confirmation page, we can actually do the delivery of the product key, which is being shown here. And with this, for the moment, the Cleverbridge platform has done its job until the renewal is taking place. And with that, I would hand over finally again to Rüdiger.
Yes, and I have prepared a small sample. I will also show my screen once again. And the sample is just a sample application that we made just for the demo purposes here. It's our sample notepad. And currently I don't have a license, so I will start my sample notepad. And it will tell me that there is no license, and please enter your ticket to activate your software. And in the meantime, because Alexander created this purchase for me, I got the email, the confirmation email from Cleverbridge Technical Sales, and here my activation code or my ticket is included, product key, like Alexander was calling it, and I will simply copy it, and once again I will paste it, and when I press OK, what happens now? Now the software connects to CodeManager License Central. License Central is checking if this is a valid key. License Central then takes the fingerprint of the local machine. License Central creates the license, delivers the license is applied to the local machine, and now the license is there, so our software starts. That's easy and simple. And so the user gets the activation code, the user enters the activation code, and everything is fine. So what happens in the subscription or for a subscription license? And in this case, I will show you that when I start a software, a small dialog pops up. It says, oh, I'm checking for subscription updates. And due to the fact that currently there is no update available yet, because we are in the domain period, and so we are not in the grace period, and so the renewal has not taken part in the e-commerce platform of Cleverbridge. That's why the software is still running, and there is no renewal of the subscription. If there is a renewal, then the software would pick it up automatically and would automatically renew the license, so it will still work in the background. And if the user cancels the software or cancels, then the software will stop working after the next billing date, plus this grace period of a few days. And this is how it works for subscription model. Of course, if you want to show the dialogue, if it should pop up in the background, if it should stay in the foreground, if you don't want to show it at all, this of course depends on your integration. So everything is possible. On the other hand, I told you, or I promised you, that we also want to show License Central. So what happened in License Central? And if we take a look here, we will search for the order. And so this is the order that was just created for me. What we see, this is our ticket. This looks like Neuhaus, which is a town in Germany. Of course, it's not Neuhaus, it's Neuhaudet, but interesting. And the custom ID is the custom ID from the Cleverbridge system. And in the comment field, we are mapping the email address of the customer. Of course, this can be adapted in the or customized in the Cleverbridge connector. And what we see here, the subscription end date is tomorrow. So in this case, it was the next billing date without any grace period. We also, Alexander and I created a few subscriptions already before this demonstration here. I will pick one of them because here we see what happens in a real subscription, or what happens over. The other one was also a real subscription. What happens if a subscription is running for a longer time? And then we see there are multiple renewals, and most of them are already activated, except the last one. The last one is not activated yet, or there are two not activated ones. And if I would, or if the software will go online, it will be activated automatically. And here we also see that the first one was created on the 9th of September, the next one on the 10th of September. You remember that the initial interval was 1. The next one was created on the 15th, on the 20th, and so the other or the following intervals were set to 5 days. And so this exactly fits to the settings in the Cleverbridge e-commerce solution. And you see that 8 of them were already activated and the last 2 were not activated. And the last one is now valid and is created today, the 20th of December, and it is valid until the 25th of October. Yes, and with this coming back to our presentation. So what we have seen in a small demo was how the configuration of the two systems. We saw the user behavior, and we saw how the reporting looks like in CodeMiner License Central. Of course, there are interfaces that you can pull the data, or we can push the data with our notification dispatcher to some endpoint in your system. And of course, there's also a manual, the Excel export available. All the magic is done by the Cleverbridge connector, and Cleverbridge already has an interface, this web key generation interface. License Central has an interface for the how to import an order. And so all we need to do is to create a small piece of software that we call the Cleverbridge connector, which maps the data fields from the Cleverbridge e-commerce solution to the data fields in CodeMiner. In our case, we are mapping the customer ID one-to-one. We are mapping the email address to the comment field, but of course we could map also other data, so this is possible to be customized. Yeah, last but not least, a short summary of what we have seen today. we saw that there is an available out-of-the-box solution from CleverBridge and from WIBU-SYSTEMS, so that with the CleverBridge connector you can have an easy configuration, simply set up the key generator or the remote key generator in CleverBridge. You only need to install the CleverBridge connector on your License Central, or if this is a hosted License Central, then we will this for you. And the only mapping you need is the item ID. You need to put the same item ID in the License Central and in the external product ID in the CleverBridge solution, and that's it. All license models are available, so not only perpetual licenses, also, and of course, subscription licenses. And here we have the experts of CleverBridge for the e-commerce and the experts of WIBU for the license enforcement. And together we have a full service package from CleverBridge and WIBU-SYSTEMS, so that you can sell your software online and you don't need to have any thoughts about copy protection, licensing. Everything works seamless between CleverBridge and the WIBU-SYSTEMS CodeMiner solution. Yeah, with this, we are at the end of our presentation. And I saw that in the chat there were already a few questions, and let's go through them. The first question, I think they go to both of us, to you, Alexander, and to me. Is it possible to have annual subscriptions too? And from the WIBU side, of course, yes. And Alexander, from the CleverBridge side?
Yes, of course. So you can, as I showed you, you can choose the subscription period for itself. You can have several subscription periods for different products. You can even localize that and put it for certain audience. So you have the full flexibility, and that goes also in accordance with the WIBU platform and their functionality. Mm-hmm.
This brings me to a question. What happens if the credit card did expire? Because after 1 year, I think it's very likely that a few, let's say 1/3 of the credit cards did expire after 1 year. So what happens then?
Yeah, we do have a mechanism that is part of the subscription management system, that we will nonetheless try to withdraw the payment from the credit card, and surprisingly, that is often possible. So we are just assuming that the card number does not change, but the expiration date is just being expanded, and the credit card companies often accept that, simply because they know that use case, and they're and we have a track record of as a serious and honest partner with them, so they're expecting it. And there are a couple of other smart mechanisms to do that automatically. In the worst case, if and we do that, check that in advance. If the credit card would work, we notify the customer via email that he needs to update his payment details, and that is a fully automated process.
Yeah, the next, thank you very much. So the next question is, are there interfaces to other shop systems available? Yes. So on both sides, on the CleverBridge side and on the WIBU-SYSTEMS sides, we are using open and available interfaces. And so we're working very well together. We are on the same level. We have same sizes, the same philosophy. So if you want a solution which really fits together, then of course you can use CleverBridge and WIBU-SYSTEMS, but you don't need to do this. You can of course use CleverBridge with other licensing providers. You can use WIBU with other shop providers, and so there are standard interfaces, and so there are multiple options available. So you are not bound to the combination, but of course in the combination we are very strong, especially together. The next question. Is the design optimized for mobile devices? I think they speak of the shopping cart page. Alexander, this is a question for you.
Well, the design can be optimized for mobile devices. So we do have a front-end development team, and that, of course, is capable of doing that. what it normally is, it is a website, so it will also run in the browser on mobile devices like tablets or mobile phones, and we do that if that is wanted. There are clients actually don't want that for whatever reasons, because they think that the desktop version is the only way a customer would approach that. But we will design that if you want that. Yes.
Okay, there's one more question. Where do I get the URL to the CleverBridge connector? So if you host the License Central yourself, you need to install CleverBridge connector and you need to create a URL yourself. If you're using a hosted License Central, which most of our customers do, then we will provide you this URL. So we will create a URL for you. We will create a username and password for you. The connection between the two systems is secured by HTTPS, so it's an encrypted communication. And we are using a digest authentication, or CleverBridge is using a digest authentication against our endpoint, so to make sure that the right person or the right shop is sending the purchasement information to WIBU-SYSTEMS, and that we know that we are really processing the correct data. Last but not least, a question from my side. Before the meeting, Alexander, we spoke about payment in Brazil, and I was very curious. And you said there are very special methods for the payment in Brazil. Maybe you can explain this. I think this is so. It was so interesting for me. So maybe you can explain this to our listeners here too.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm fairly new to e-commerce, and I'm also new to this to the world of payment, and I was surprised when I first got exposed to how many payments options do we use, and there are some very exotic ones, or at least from the European view, perhaps it sounds exotic, and there are in Latin America, especially in Brazil, there are many people actually do not have a bank account, and without a bank account you can't do a direct transfer, or you can't use PayPal or a credit card, right? And for that matter, they do have a special payment system where you would go to a kiosk and do the payment there and get a kind of a voucher, a code which you can then submit online in order to make purchases. That's how they do actually. And in Brazil, some people do e-commerce, and that's something very, very special, which you need to serve in order, or we need to provide in order for our clients to make business in Brazil with the people who only have the possibility to pay in this way, and we do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know in the past or in my life where I was really, really young, I used Eurochecks to pay
Yes.
also. And so the question is, do you also support payment by a check?
Yes, we do. In the United States, especially in the United States, there is still it's very popular to pay via check. So, and we do process that for our customers in the United States. So you could hand in the check and send it via mail, and we would process that that payment too. So we are, as I said in the beginning, we are trying to really suffice and serve the needs and expectations of the local markets. And that is, again, from a European perspective, that is perhaps peculiar, but that's what it is. And in Asia, you have others, and in Africa, you have others, and we'll try to make all that happen. Yes.
Yeah, so Alexander, thank you very much for being here with us, being our guest, being our co-speaker, and also to the audience, thank you very much for being here and for listening. Thank you also for this amount of questions, and I hope to see you again next time for the next webinar. So thank you very much. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rüdiger. Bye-bye.